extend a warm welcome to Dr. P. Somasundaram and express our sincere gratitude to him for graciously accepting our invitation to deliver this session. Thank you, sir. The session is yours now.
Thank you. Thanks for your nice introduction. Thank you. So I hope from morning onwards, where you'll be listening about different informations on the battery management system. So as we all know very well, there is no other way. Nowadays we are moving towards the electric vehicle, and we have to understand not only the electric vehicle. The main thing is we have to understand the current scenario. Even for example, the ultimate aim for us, whoever is coming to our department, we need better placement. Even one person, what is Balaji, came from this institution. He is in the second year. So while I am interacting with him, where he was telling that, okay, nowadays the placement is better. In what way? Whenever I am going to some institution nowadays, even I used to advise the faculty members to move from the education institution to the industry. You all know the scenario. Suppose if it is some 25 years back, if someone completes PG degree, for example, any Tech, then if they are going to any industry, they will not receive their resume at all. That was the situation in industries 25 years back. But now what is the scenario? Now they are giving the preference only for the PhD scholars, the first preference for PhD. Then they are coming to NEM Tech. Then they are coming to the undergraduate course. So that means already those who have completed PhD, where we are working in teaching industry, and many times where even we used to worry about the teaching industry in future, we may not know in which direction we'll be going. In the sense, even nowadays, almost some 3 to 5 courses where they can opt and they can study through the online. Suppose if it reaches 50%, then what will happen to the number of teaching faculty requirement? Even MBA initially they have kept 1:15 as the SFR, but now they have increased it to 20. Then with some additional technology in near future, they can say 1:40 also possible. So if it is the case, then we cannot say that where I am not getting any placement or anything. Because why you need some thirst to learn something new, you have to find out yourself. That's why I want to highlight these things. Even some 1 week back, one of the student, he was attending interview for ESESSION. It is a transformer company from SN Engineering College. And the thing is, where we are asking one question, I am also in the panel. It is a transformer company. He came for the interview. Do you know what will be the question? What is transformer? What is the operating principle? Why we are using a laminated course? Only these three basic. This is an extremely basic question. He never answered for anything. Even at the end, the team concluded that, okay, sir, we will recruit him. I was shocked actually. You see the situation. So that means you have to understand what is the current scenario in the industry. So that too, if you have some specific knowledge in some specific domain, it is very easy to fetch a job in core industries. But you have to try. So you have to try in the sense, so far I have never contacted any industry persons in my teaching career. Means for you it may be very difficult. But if you are having some contact of the members with the industries, even it may be a right time for the faculty members, even in the age of 40 or 45 also, you can switch over to the industry. That is possible. So when and where, that you have to decide. But for that you have to keep on, you have to update, you have to upgrade. Already because you are in the teaching field, the benefit is you may be very good in fundamentals and the basics. So that is one basic requirement for the industry. In addition, they are expecting some more specific skills. For example, like, sir, I am good with artificial intelligence. So now you know where everywhere they are adopting the technology. Or I am good with some of the specific software for battery management or EV simulator or anything. If you want to move in any one specific field, now also you can try, because you need not to be worried in future what will happen in the teaching. So such worries is not required. The only thing, keep on, if you're yeah, increasing your capability, definitely you can fetch a very good placement. May not be for the students. I gave one example. Even he doesn't know what is transformer. Even he is from the same institution, where even then the industry is ready to absorb them, because there is a huge shortage for the manpower. And why they like nowadays faculties? What is the reason? The reason telling some 20 years back, whenever some senior faculties are there, they will say this fellow will not work. We'll take some fresh guy so that he will do all the work. But nowadays it is very difficult. If you are taking the fresh graduate, they will not do any work. You might have observed, because most of you will be working in the institution. If you are recruiting any fresh guy after MEM Tech for a teaching position, in the olden days, all the department work will be dumped on them. And they used to work hard and they will finish. But nowadays it is very difficult. If you are giving any work, they will take this or where to keep this. The bottle also they will ask. And in the nth moment, you will think that instead of giving work to that guy, I will complete all the work. You are able to follow. So the industry is also facing the same issue. What they felt where the faculty members are able to expose whatever may be the problems, or they are able to deal with the customers, clients. So such things are keep on increasing. And now we know, even in the electric vehicle field, from IC engine, where a lot of hopes are there. But the one drawback is there with the electric vehicle, where there is no much growth in the electric vehicle in US. When compared to India, in US, they are not supporting much for electric vehicles. But here in India, where we are going one step ahead, it is not like IC engine. The entire research is going on here, and we are focusing much on electric vehicles. But the same thing is not happening in the US. We are able to understand. So we may not know what is the reason, but as on date, where you cannot compare the electric vehicle with the IC engines, a lot of drawbacks are there. Particularly, the problem is with the batteries. You might have seen a lot of information about the batteries. The main thing is lifespan. Sometimes even the battery pack may fail within 3 years or 5 years. But they used to say for 8 years you can operate the vehicle. And 3 parameters in the previous lecture, they have started with the 3 parameters. One is state of charge, state of health, and then thermal. So thermal nowadays everywhere, those who are in the research field, you may be aware that everywhere now they are adding that flavor of thermal management. Have you gone through that? Even you take fuse, some research articles will be there, thermal management. So they will have some thermal scanner, and with that they used to do such analysis, and they are doing the other aspect. And if you are coming to the state of charge and the state of health, because we are all having much experience with our mobile phone. So once if you are procuring a new mobile phone, so if you are charging it with a 100% state of charge, it may be lasting for 2 days or 2.5 days, while it is very new. After 1 year, what will happen? The same thing on the top, it will show 100%. But how long you can use that mobile? You may be using it for only, instead of 2.5 days, it will 2.5 days, it will decrease to 2 days or 1.5 days. Then after 3 or 4 years maximum, if you are charging it 100%, it will show 100%. But in the evening itself, the entire charge will be vanishing it. So that shows the state of health. So that means initially it will hold the maximum charge. So that time the state of health will be 100%. But what happens when the time progresses, because it is a battery which uses chemicals, so stored energy will be converted to electrical energy, and the properties degrades. So with that, what happens? Where the amount of charge what it can hold decreases. So even though it shows that the 100% charging is there, but the problem is capacity is reduced. So that reduction will be referred as the state of health. And other than that, because in the battery management system, where in the previous lecture he has explained that not all the cells will be impacted in the same way. Sometimes if 100 cells are there within the battery pack, one or two cells may be getting damaged. And if it is not properly monitored and if it is not replaced, what will happen? With that, where the subsequent failures of the other cells, the cell balancing may not be proper and other problems will arise. So with that, the battery pack may go down very quickly and rapidly. So for all this process, where we need a battery management system. And you might have studied the basics because already where this battery management system is not a new one. Already it is available in our mobile phone. So once if you are interested in this specific area, okay, I want to work with this electric vehicle. So one of the field where the main thing already we have the motor for the drive system and other converter technologies are required. And while coming to the cost, where almost 50% of the cost will be for the battery. So that means more importance will be there for the battery. So if you want to maintain the battery, you need efficient battery management system. And in that, the first thing you should know, because with the three parameters, there measurement of temperature with the thermal analysis, that will be of the other nature only with the sensor where you can do it. But while coming to the state of charge, how will you measure the state of charge? Anyone? Sir, this way we can measure the state of charge. It is not a new one because in our mobile itself, on the top, every time you can see what percentage you are seeing, that is the state of charge. So how to measure the state of charge? One of the basic method will be the Coulomb count method. And normally with the measurement of current, where continuously with the integration, during charging, they will find out how many charges are entering into the battery. And once if it is filled, that will be referred as the 100% state of charge. Then when discharging also, with the continuous integration, they will find out. And once if it is reaching from the maximum to 0, it will reach 0%. So this Coulomb count method will be the common one everywhere it is utilized. The other thing, nowadays even instead of a Coulomb count method, which will be a conventional method, even nowadays they are using the AI techniques. And while coming to the AI techniques, there is no limitations because AI techniques are not new. Even in 1990s, where they have started equipments like washing machine, they will adopt fuzzy logic control. And by looking into the name, we may be thinking that, oh, fuzzy logic control, something is new. But it is very simple. Maximum they will use one lookup table technique. If this much is there, you operate at this speed or you add this much washing powder or something. It is almost like a simple lookup table. So even with that, they used to project that where we have a fuzzy logic based fuzzy logic controlled washing machine. The same thing nowadays, everywhere they are projecting this AI techniques. So AI techniques, what happens? So the simple requirement is we may have very less number of human expertise. We may have very less number of human expertise. So we want to replace them. That's why now more focus is there everywhere. Even I told the human expertise, what they are expecting. Even if he doesn't know what is transformer, they are ready to recruit. You see how much shortage is there. So even in near future, this may increase. So for that purpose only nowadays, where not everywhere across the globe, their main focus is on the artificial intelligence. So in the subsection, you may have machine learning or deep learning. You can go through any one. So the main thing here it is, first we have to understand what is the need for AI. And that doesn't mean that you have to exactly use this AI technique for some specific one. With that, you have to learn it. There is no such requirement because AI is common for everything. For example, air conditioner is there. So based on the room condition, you can develop an AI module such that it can turn on and it can turn off the air conditioners and it can maintain the room temperature at a good level required for us. Or you can plan for power saving or whatever may be your idea that can be implemented through the artificial intelligence. So that is what everywhere it is happening, and that term is common everywhere. So today I will give you some basics of artificial intelligence, because I hope for the next 1 week you will be studying about this battery management system. So my information here it is, once if you know what is AI, you can use it anywhere. That doesn't mean that BMS or this or that. Wherever you want, you can use it. There is no restriction. Once if you know what is AI, you can use for all the applications. So whether this or that, whether I can apply here or there, everywhere. Everywhere you can use the artificial intelligence. So what is artificial intelligence? So already we know the biological neural network. It is our human brain. So how our human brain works, in the similar manner, we want to create the equivalent system. So for that, what we have to do? So we have already the neurons. So we have to create the neuron models, and how our neurons are performing some of the kind of activities. So the same kind of flow you have to create this model. That's all. So a number of models are already available. You can choose whatever may be the model best suits for your own application, and you can use it. You are able to understand this? So the ultimate aim here it is, you have to understand what is AI, and once you know AI, whatever may be the kinds of application you are needing, you can use everywhere. Or even you can ask me, sir, whether I can apply this. Okay, you can do this. There is no restriction. Only here we have to apply, or there we have to apply, or it is most suitable only for battery management system. It is not like that. Even nowadays, where you may be hearing about autonomous vehicles. Am I correct? That is the advanced technology, but still there is no standard procedure or the operating systems for the autonomous vehicle. But in near future, where we are expecting that definitely most of the vehicles, what it is running on the street, it will be a driverless cars. So if you are booking the car, it will come to your doorstep, but there will not be any drivers. So for such kind of development, where it is possible only with the help of AI. Without AI, it is not possible. And once again, I want to recollect that. So AI means don't think that human brain is there. Modeling is extremely difficult, because physiological control itself, if you are coming to the last simplified stage, it will be only a lookup table. Even in your microprocessor and the controller and all, you will be starting with the lookup table techniques. So only that the simple case will be called as the physiological control. The same way, while coming to the artificial intelligence, it is very simple. For example, even in 2000, we have made some analysis by using artificial intelligence. Even who are studied in our system, in our campus, we have introduced the artificial intelligence for any power system in 2000. But by 2010, we felt bored with that. It's a very boring subject. So we have closed it. Then onwards, they have opened even the department with artificial intelligence on those things. So it is not very new. For computer science, it is very old. Artificial intelligence is very old. It is not a new one at all. And the thing is, now we have the development in the technology to implement AI. During those stages, there is no such a significant work. Even you can see where we have published one paper in 2000. It is with respect to power system. Power system, we have two major components. One is voltage and another one is a frequency. Frequency, there is no issue. The person who is sitting in the head office, he will monitor the frequency and he will assess the entire state situation. But when coming to the voltage, if you are measuring voltage in this MBA block, you may have some 228 volts. If you are measuring in electrical block, it may be some 220 volts. So that means you see within some 100-meter difference, you may be finding the variations in the voltage. So to assess that voltage, where we have used the artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, what it will do? For example, if I am asking to someone, now I want to travel from here to Coimbatore, how much time it will take? No, that's what I'm saying. You have to, because immediately you may not able to say. You have to go outside. You have to see, okay, in this road, here this much traffic is there. If it is the case, you may be traveling at different times from this SA Engineering College to Coimbatore. That experience is required. And you know, okay, if the traffic is this much here, so along the road it may be like this, so this much time it will take. So how you are deciding that? Your experience you have to teach to the AI so that it will capture the movements of vehicle, and you can place a big board in your gate so that the AI will display whoever wants to Coimbatore, you have to travel for 1 hour. Are able to follow the same thing what we did. We have implemented for voltage control. So we will sense voltage only at one point, and we will control the controllers all along the entire system. We are able to follow. We will sense the voltage only at one point. Actually, you have to sense at hundreds of points, and you have to control the voltage. So instead of that, what we did, we will sense voltage only at one point. Then from there, we will assess. Okay, voltage if it is here like this, in the other location it will be like this, in other location it will be like this. So with that information, where we are able to control voltage at all the points. This and all we have done in the year of 2000 itself. Even the paper secondary voltage control, you can refer it in the website. So what I want to say here, whether it is artificial intelligence, machine learning or deep learning, these are all not very new to this. Even here, I hope somebody was answering beautifully while coming to the modeling of batteries. Because what are maybe the analysis you want to do, you have to use some battery models. But battery model, where one of the problem is the resistance will not be constant from 100% state of charge to the 0%. The resistance will be varying continuously. So to assess that resistance, and if you want to develop a suitable model where you can develop artificial intelligence such that based on the state of charge, where it will adjust the value of resistance so that you can do the simulation in a beautiful way. You are able to understand. So why I am saying now these examples. So once if you are coming to AI, whatever may be the field you are working, immediately you can use AI for all kind of application. Not only the all kind of application, even if you are starting on a new thing where you want to go with battery management system now currently where I'm interested in the sense, you can issue battery management system means your contribution will be very difficult. What is the reason? Contributing to battery management system is not that much easy. What is the reason? One thing, already they are having well developed battery management system in the mobile phone itself. So already they are having the battery management there itself. They are monitoring voltage, current, temperature, and they want to ensure that battery life should be for long duration. Because nowadays we are not seeing much local mobiles. In 2010 and all, where we used to get most of the Korean sets. The problem is if you are using for a long time, the temperature will rise. Then if you are using Nokia mobiles and all, where you will not find any such difficulties at all. The thing is they have the better battery management system. So nowadays in all the mobiles, already the developed battery management systems are available. So contributing from our side for a better battery management system is not that much easy. But one more thing, even in the previous lecture they have mentioned, depending on the location, because the battery they will not do analysis with the different locations. But here while coming to the electric vehicle, depending on the locations, you may have different environmental conditions. So for your own environmental conditions, where you can develop better battery management system, artificial intelligence or anything else. So it is like a black box. It is like us. For example, on the day one, if I am giving mobile phone to you, whether immediately you can open and you can make a call, it is not possible. But nowadays what happens, most of the kids in the sense even infants by 6 months old, they are introducing their mobile phones. And what they will do, they know very well anything they can do with that mobile phone. And even sometimes if you are going to remote places, their parents are wondering, I don't know how to operate this, but this 3-year-old kid, they are able to do all kinds of activities. And before going to our scenario, the main thing why we should not give mobile phones to the kids. Even recently in Australia, they have banned the usage of social network. The children's below some 14 or 12, I don't know, they have banned it. Once if they are using it, they will be punished. So why we should not provide mobile phones to the kids? Tara Solun Papa. What is it? All okay. That is very common from AI perspective. Yeah, partial answer is there. The main thing is, whatever may be the pictures or whatever may be the other animated things what they are seeing inside the mobile, it will be very fast. It will be very fast. But in the real world, most of the time it is very slow. So what happens from the kids from 1 year old, if they are seeing watching the mobile phones, that doesn't mean that they will get some eye problem and all. This nothing wrong with their eyes, may or may not be. But what will happen to their brain? So we have billions of neurons in our brain. So how we are storing the information? Anyone can you tell me? For example, I want to learn arithmetic. How I am learning arithmetic? Suppose if I am asking someone what is 2 plus 2, how you are answering 4? How your neuron works for that? Idea.
It's already stored in a memory that.
So that means in the brain it doesn't know whether it is arithmetic or something. Suppose from the kid, if you are saying that 2 into 3 equal to 5, it will, whenever you are asking what is 2 into 3, it will say 5. It will not say 6. So that means what? You have to train it. The first requirement is training. Then only we are testing it. So this was the very basic old scenario. So now what happened? Always the children are watching the mobile phones. It is very fast. One of the simple example is, initially where they are ready to watch movies for 2 to 2.5 hours. Then they are not interested. Then what is that the other things they came. Now what they are saying, shorts and reels for some. Even I have seen for 10 seconds they are watching one on shorts or reels or something. They are able to follow, because beyond that they don't have any interest. So within that you have to make them happy. So why it happens? Because already their neurons are trained. So during the birth, the entire millions of neurons will not have any established network. There will not be any network established in the neurons. Suppose if they are playing with the real world, it is very slow. So according to that, the neurons will establish the network. Establish the network means what? Because as you know, the brain functioning will be depending on the electrical and the chemical signal processing. Electrical and the chemical signal processing. So if you are capturing some information through any sensory input, it will reach the neurons. So it will process it, and one neuron will receive some of the information, and it will activate other neurons in that particular network for the specific activity. Then finally some neurons will produce the output. Okay, now what input you have got is this one. You are able to follow? So all the real world activities are very slow. But what happens with the arrival of mobile phone? If they are monitoring that continuously, it is very fast. So their neural network will be trained with that speed. And anything what happens in the real world, they cannot tolerate. They are able to follow? They cannot tolerate. And the same thing, many times we used to say, suppose if your watts are always in the top, what will happen? Suddenly if there is some failure, why they are unable to tolerate it? Because already their neurons are trained such that once if they are receiving the mark, they should be the top, their outcome. If it is not, some of the activities they cannot tolerate. The same thing now, okay, that is one scenario. But now for all the scenario, even if they want waters, you take anywhere. If I am taking my kids to any of the function, marriages. Nowadays, none of the kids they will play in the marriage halls. Immediately after reaching there, they will say, "I'm feeling boring." That's why I told I will stay at home. You brought me here. So what to do? You give him a mobile phone. Otherwise, in the home we can restrict. No, no, no. We will not give it. But if you are going there, that's why I told I will not come to marriage. You brought here. Now I am feeling boring. Immediately they know. Once if you are giving the mobile phone, even you don't bother about them whether they took food or not, and they may sit there for 2 hours or 3 hours, and they may be coming back without any difficulties. The thing is, they don't like some moving or talking with someone. They don't like it. So already their neurons are trained. So one of the basic message what I want to tell you. So whoever may be the kids less than 10 years at least, you don't allow them. Even they may say where the other problem nowadays, after coming back from the school, where they are sending all the homework only through the WhatsApp. So they will say simply, I want to use it. So that somehow you have to balance it. Or whenever they are using the mobile phone, you don't take any other work. You ensure that they are using it only for the study purpose. Otherwise, definitely after a few years, you will face lot of problems. And even that's why many people they used to say, oh, if someone is getting always on the top, particularly from the childhood, their neurons are trained, so always they will expect the same thing. And finally, if there is any one failure, they are unable to tolerate it. They are unable to tolerate it. So that is what the thing. Even for example, from the childhood, at least some 50%, what we used to say, my son will be a doctor. He is good. If you are telling that every day, his neurons, he is always listening that, and he know it or not, he will develop the attitude that he want to become a doctor to a certain extent. Even what happens, even in my home, somehow last few years, I saw that very good placement is there for electrical engineering. I have two daughters now, the elder one is in +2. So I have given the input such that you go to the electrical engineering. Because once if they are going to computer engineering where it is very difficult to work only under stipulated time. But in the recent past last 10 years I have seen the placement for electrical engineering is very good. That's why I am suggesting even you maybe at the age of 30 or 40, now also you can find very good placement in the industries. Even the companies like Hitachi and the other Siemens, GE, everywhere you can get placement, provided where you need capabilities. Even you can go to some higher level. You might have seen some of your colleagues might have already moved. Even recently I went for one of the PhD Viva in St. Joseph. They told a part-time internal. Then after completion, I was asking in which lab you are sitting now. It was, sir, I have moved outside. Very good. Where, sir, I got some placement in Bangalore. So what is the salary? He was saying that, sir, simply it is 30 lakhs per annum. So that means you see the requirement, potential requirement. One of the things what I have observed is because when compared to the current undergraduate or postgraduate students, the faculties, if they have some knowledge, already they have the teaching experience, they might have gained some knowledge in the basics, and with available programming or microcontroller applications or your own field of applications, if you have some knowledge, getting a placement is very good. But for that, first you have to get established some industrial connectivity. You have to approach some person. First you call them for what is that? Guest lecture in the institute. Slowly you develop the backup. I'm not suggesting that you may have the vision, you may have interest in teaching. I'm not suggesting you to move out of this. But nowadays it is possible. Once if your ANN is trained for anything, definitely you can approach it. So once if it is the globalization of AI is there, definitely we can get better placement. The other thing, so what is AI? Already I gave the information. If you are saying 2 plus 2 equal to 4, so we are not doing any kind of, we are not using any kind of algorithms within our brain. So we are storing only the information in our brain. So on receiving any input, we will produce that output. Storage learn எடுத்து கொடுக்கிற மாதிரி தான். So that means Even we used to suggest the students always study only with a thorough understanding. And sometimes we will say mugging up is not good. Whether it is not good, without mugging up you cannot study actually. Mugging up in the sense you have to store the information. So even with understanding also, what you have to do, you have to store only the information. Many times we will have some misleading. So that doesn't mean that after understanding no need to study. You are able to follow one, you may be able to understand, but you may not be able to reproduce it. But with the thorough understanding, if you are storing the information, you can apply it for wider applications. But if it is a monotonous work, that's why you see some of the students they may not study well, but after reaching the industry, they will be at a higher position. How it is possible? Their field is very narrow. They will be trained with that, and only in that specific field they will be trained, and they will repeat that activity. That doesn't mean that they have wider scope of knowledge. So with all these fundamentals, why I am giving, because AI means you can apply for everywhere. That doesn't mean that it is only for battery management system. But while coming to the battery management system, because it is not very new, contributing there, it is not that much easy. Suppose, sir, I am working on battery, you want to do something, it is possible. But once if you are coming to the management system, nowadays it is extremely difficult. Everywhere for any kind of management system, if you want to contribute something, it is extremely difficult. You are able to understand what I am conveying here. So now the main thing is, so AI means if you are giving some input, it will give some output. So that is what the AI. So inside what is there, you have to build it. It is the model what it is available in our neural network, biological neural network. The similar mathematical model, you have to develop it. So what it will do after developing the AI, if you are giving some input, it will give some output. For example, if you are giving a voltage and current, which is sensed from the battery, you are feeding it to the artificial intelligence, so it will give whether now the cells are perfectly balanced or not, or whether you have any problem with any of the cells within the battery pack. All those information it will give. So what input you have to give, that you have to find out. If you are able to follow what input you have to give, you have to find out. Because some people, they will say only when, if the teaching is happening with the blackboard, they will say I can understand. Some people, they will say only when the teaching is happening with the PPT, I can understand. So that means their neurons are trained for that. If you want to change your neural network, when it is possible, only when it is less than 18 it is possible. Our networks are already pre-wired. Suppose if you want to learn something new, it will take a lot of time. That's why during the childhood, they may be able to learn even 4 to 5 languages. But after a certain time, it is very difficult. Why? All the network will be pre-wired. Establishing a new network is extremely difficult. You're able to visualize what I'm saying, because once if you have this basic, you can study AI at any point of time. So the main thing is your neurons will establish a network. The similar kind of learning network will be mathematically modeled for the artificial neural network. And how we are responding, the way, what kind of training is required, the same kind of training you have to find out for your developed neural network, so that your AI will give the required output whenever you are feeding some input. That's all about the AI, any kind of things. But nowadays, what additionally they are saying that machine learning and deep learning. So like our neural network, whenever some scenarios are keep on changing, if there is a adaptability with that new kind of input, if it is able to process it, and if it is able to learn on its own, and if it is able to produce the output, then these things are like machine learning and deep learning are entering into the field of artificial intelligence. Visualize பண்ண முடியுதுங்களா? If you have any doubt, you can ask. So artificial intelligence can be learned by even a 5th standard student. For that, very high knowledges are not required. And one more thing, nowadays whenever I am going to parent teachers meeting and school, most of their parents will say my ward cannot perform good in mathematics. Every parents, they used to be similar kind of things. What can I do this? How they are defining that? The idea இருக்கா? இல்ல இப்ப வீட்ல என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க, என் பையன் என் சாப்பாடு மட்டும் தான் சாப்பிடுவான். What is the reason behind that? From the childhood, you may be using the same word and maybe sometimes to their taste. So they will be addicted to that. That's all. The neuron is trained. It doesn't mean that whether your kid or some other kid, if you are training also, it will do the same thing. So that means how you are effectively training it. That is what it is required. Still, whether you need any input on AI, because these basics and all you will be studying with all those things. I am not working with all those things. Yeah, because I thought I will teach something of basics of neural network, but this application you can use it for anywhere. Even I will come back how to model the battery model using AI and all. The main thing is we should know what is ANN. Once if you know what is ANN, you can use it everywhere. And some more additional information nowadays, you know about the power of MATLAB. Once if you are using MATLAB, nowadays programming, nothing is required. Even nowadays ME students, whenever you are saying some power electronic controllers, mostly we are working with power electronic controllers. In the olden days, data collection is very difficult. But nowadays in the MATLAB, you create all the scenario, it takes and it creates the required input automatically. Almost within half an hour, any kind of controllers they are developing with AI. But in the olden days, at least we will take time to prepare the data set. But nowadays with the MATLAB programming facilities, even the data set is created once if you are giving the various conditions, and within half an hour they are able to develop any type of controllers. So that means you have to be familiar with always the MATLAB while going for these kind of applications for research. That will be better. So this is what to start with. Suppose if you have a 100-meter length of string, you want to divide that into 3 equal parts. What you will do? You will fold that into 3 equal parts. You can cut it. But mathematically, if you want to achieve the 1/3 of 100, it is very difficult. Definitely, after getting 1/3 of 100, if you are going for the total, if you are adding those 3, definitely it will not be equal to 100 because always some error will be there. So folding and finding the equal thing will be the application of AI. Mathematics means it will be always dividing it, and while reproducing, you may not be able to get the 100. So while coming to the ANN, because always I am representing what is a neuron. So in our brain, how the neuron is there. So mathematically, it is represented like this. So once if you want to go for any kind of neural network configuration, you have to use these neurons. So like this, in our brain we have billions of neurons. So that one neuron model, which is very common for last 50 years, we are using the same model. What is that model? So we are giving the number of inputs. For example, I am getting an input. I am facing anyone and I am telling their name. How I am doing so? My eyes will be giving the input to some of the neurons, what are really is trained. Billions of neurons are there, but I am while taking some visionary input, it will go to only some particular neural network in my brain, and it will evolve. And suppose if I am meeting a person only once, after 2 years, is it possible to recognize them? Very difficult. But today, all of you are meeting here in the hall, but next day morning while coming, are you able to recognize all of them or not? Definitely it is possible. Suppose if you are meeting them for some 1 year, 2 years here in the same campus, and if you are leaving somewhere after some 3-4 years, if you are able to meet that person, are you able to recognize? You may be able to recognize. How it is happening? Because with the more number of inputs, where you are able to establish the network. The same thing while coming to the artificial neural network. Once if you are establishing the network, suppose you want to perform addition operation with the network, you have to give 2 inputs, 2 plus 2, and you have to give the output also, output 4. So always you are giving this input and output, and you are telling that. So once if 2 and 2 are coming, you have to produce 4. how we are educating our kids, the same way we have to tell them. So if you are able to tell that repeatedly, it may be after 10 times, 100 times, or 200 times. Finally, it will say, once if you are feeding 2 and 2, it will give 4. Even while coming to the learning, because we will come to the previous one, my kids cannot study mathematics. There is no such things at all. The thing is, we have different IQ level. For example, if I am reading a content, after reading 10 times, I may be able to reproduce. But somebody else, even by reading once, they may be able to reproduce it. So that doesn't mean that somebody else, if they are doing, I cannot do that. I can also do, but my training level will be different. So the same thing here, while you are going for a neural network, for some specific application, some specific neural network model will perform better. Or the training, because here also we have neural network, how we are training the human, the same way you have to select the training methods such that it will be training it effectively, so that the implementation will be very successful. You are able to understand the difference. So here onwards, even you may have some idea, I will not be good in differentiation, I will not be good in integration. There is no such thing at all. If you are not knowing anything, okay, I will study. You come to that mode. Don't say that I cannot use computer. You are able to follow. Don't restrict yourself. I cannot cook in a very tasty food. There is no such restriction at all. The only thing, you need more training. So there is no classification that this boy will do better mathematics, this boy may learn all the theory parts. There is no such difference at all. Whatever may be the thing, that they can achieve it with the training. So even don't segregate them, they cannot do this work, they cannot do that work. Depending on their ability, training time and other things may vary, but that doesn't mean that they cannot do it. You're able to understand that? Then only you can hopefully use this artificial neural networks. So these are the inputs. For example, you want to use this for detecting the human names. Whoever is entering here, you want to display their name. Nowadays, everywhere, what we are doing, we have biometric attendance. Am I correct or wrong? It may be a thumb impression or facial detection or whatever may be the thing. How they are doing it? They are storing the information during the beginning stage. So whenever it is getting some input, you will compare it. So once if it is matching more than 80% or more than 75%, they will give the tolerance. So with that, they are producing the output. So for that also we can use artificial neural network. You are able to understand. So here, whatever may be the input you have to give. So here they used to call this as the main body or functional element. It's very simple. Name only we have that main body or functional element. What it happens here, whatever may be the input you are giving, all the input will go to the main body or processing element. Before going there, where we used to multiply that with a weightage value. That they are calling it as connection strength in the neuron. So that means if I am receiving some input, that input will not be permitted to travel across all the neurons. So once if you are receiving some input, only specific neurons will be activated. Why? Because from one neuron, while the information is going to the other neuron, based on the connection strength, it will go only to some particular neurons. You are able to understand? So based on that, you have to decide the weight value. So whatever may be the input you are receiving it, you have to decide the weight value. So that means, as you know, it is very complex. That weight value has to be estimated by using some algorithm. You cannot give the weight value. You are able to understand? For example, you can take 2 inputs in the battery management system or 3 inputs, voltage, current and temperature. 3 input you can feed here. But before going to the processing element or main body of the neuron, where you have to decide the connection strength. Here, colloquially, we will be calling everywhere as weightage value. But that weightage value, you cannot decide it. Based on the training, you have to arrive at that weightage value. For that, you have to use some algorithm. Many algorithms are there. Nowadays, even as I said, even no need to learn those algorithms. In the MATLAB, automatic trainings are possible. Then what will happen? After that here, so from the symbol itself, So input multiplied by weight, you sum all those things. Then after summing it, that neuron will decide. So this is the input received, whether I have to give output or not. Because some neural network already established, no? So once if somebody is talking in Hindi, what my neurons will do, it will hear and it will take all the input, but none of the neurons will give the output because it is not trained. So that means while I am receiving such kind of information, this weightage value should be very poor with all kind of neurons for such kind of inputs. Then with that, if the threshold value is specified, when the total input is exceeding the threshold value, where it will give the output, and what kind of output you want, for that you have to use the function, and based on the function it will produce the output. And one more term here it is there, it is called the bias term. Bias term is very simple to understand because most of us are faculty. Suppose two students are coming with some problem. Even sometimes without hearing their problem, we will point out that, okay, this guy will make a problem. You please go. How we are coming to that? Because already we have bias based on the past experience. Some bias information is there, you can feed that information. So with that you will be getting the output. And this function is, you have to shape the output, what kind, whether you want to display the name, or you want to display their face, or you want to give their mark, what kind of information you are training, or based on this function it will produce that output. So if you are giving a temperature, voltage and current, after processing it, it will specify which cell in the battery pack is failed. You are able to follow. So for that you have to do the training. One simple example is there, the implementation of OR gate or AND gate. Very simple. Even because why I am taking this, without going for proper training, you can estimate the values of weight. So as we know, if we are giving 1 and 1, if it is OR gate, you get 1. Even either 1 or 0 also you will get 1. But only for 0, 0 you will get 0. So what happens here? So these are the two inputs. Here the weightage values are 1 and 1. So with this what happens while giving 0 and 0? So here automatically it will be 0 because it is multiplied. 0 into 1, 0. 0 into 1, 0. So here it is 0. The threshold value, it is 0.5. So it is less than 0.5. So when the input to this function is less than 0, automatically it will give the output of 0. For all other values, suppose if it is 1 and 0, 1 into 1, 1. So even with this, which is greater than threshold value, so you will get the output of 1. So beyond greater than 1, 0 means you will get the output of 1. So this function is called the odd limiter. So this simple application we are using the odd limiter. Even, for example, you can take voltage and current. You can train the neural network. So based on that two information, by using these, even the same odd limiter, you can decide whether the battery is without any cell failures or with some cell failures. That conclusion you can arrive at. But for that you have to train. If the voltage and current pattern during discharge, if it is like this, you intimate that there is a failure of some particular cell. And even you can decide whether it is at the middle, because he was specifying that if it is at the edges where the temperature dissipation will be much faster. But if the cells are packed in the middle where its temperature dissipation will be very less, even you can come to such conclusions. You are able to understand that. So for any kind of application, developing AI is much easier. But in the olden days, implementation is very, very difficult. But nowadays, mobile நீங்க 4 நாள் பாருங்க, ஏதாவது சரி ஏதாவது செப்பல் பார்க்கலாம், ஒரு நாள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அடுத்த 4 நாள் நீங்க ஓபன் பண்ணாவே different kinds of cheppals will be coming in front. How it is possible? Because they are using the AI. So once if you are searching anything, it will store. Once again, whenever you are coming back there, it will come. Okay, this. Even nowadays in the Google website, if you are searching something, within bracket it will come. You often visit this site. Because they are storing the information and they are processing it in the same way. All are artificial intelligence. Even while typing the mails, if you are typing some frequent statements, where the same kind of word based on your typing methodology, it will come with the auto implement. So these are all based on the artificial intelligence. So for any application, that means what I want to say here, for battery management system already, even with our mobile phone, we have well established the artificial intelligence. But that means while coming for electric vehicle, you have to find out the application in a sensible way. It may be very difficult. So that means you have to add other complexities like environment in your location may have some impact. If you are in coastal line, you may find out that something else, sea breeze is there, with that this problem will come, that problem will come. So I have developed the AI like this. So such informations has to be added, multiplied, then you have to project that your only will be the new things. But AI is very, very simple. What is AI? You can implement to any application. See, AI applications is not limited to any one specific problem. All kinds of application you can use AI. That too, I hope some hands-on training are there. If somebody is giving hands-on training with MATLAB, it will be very easy. You take any one simple applications and you learn it, or even nowadays most of the things are available in YouTube videos. Slowly you can learn it, but you have to touch the system every day. At least you have to work for AI some half an hour. After 1 year, you will be mastering the AI. If you are not doing so, then it is not possible. So this is what just all the inputs are there. So what I am showing here, it is very simple. With single neuron, you may not able to establish any practical application. Just for information, I am saying it. You have to take voltage and current as input. Based on the processing, you can decide whether your cell, all the cells are in good condition, or even you can estimate state of health, state of charge. Anything is possible for any kind of application. Instead of pull-and-bound method, you can use ANN. So based on the current and voltage of the battery, it can give immediately the state of charge. You might have studied about the characteristics of cells. So with that VI characteristics, immediately you can come to the conclusion of state of charge. So this for some of the applications wherever you have this kind of yes or no type, you can use odd limiters. But for some of the complex application, if it increases, you need in between 0 to 1. So you need some 99.5 or 98.5. Then you have to use these kind of functions. These functions you can define on your own. The only thing, you have to develop the mathematical model according to your own function. There is no restriction on the function. These are all very simple and standard functions like odd limiter and sigmoid function. But you, for your own application, you can decide any complex nonlinear functions that you have to define and you have to propose it. Why you have developed that function. So you will basic doubt to time problem, because my aim is to introduce what is AI. It may be one of the easiest one. Even your 5th standard students can use AI for any basic application. So you may have hundreds of problems, not only this battery management system. So the only thing here, you have to feed input and you have to get the output. So how we are learning, in the same way, only one input, one output, you cannot develop AI. The range of conditions you have to observe. Then for all those things, you have to train it. If you are able to train it, then only you can train the ANN. But we can train with some simple cases. If on the same ones and zeros, say, normally we'll go for different kinds of network models. So here you can see in the previous model we have only one neuron. So here in the input 3 neurons are there. In between input and output layer we have hidden layers. In the hidden layer you can have 2 neurons, 3 neurons. Sometimes they will add number of hidden layers. So once if you are entering into this field, you can understand what is what. Okay, these are all very basic and simple. You can have any kind of network. These are all already available network models. So here, if it is linearly separable, so if it is a gate circuit, it is linearly separable. It is easy to differentiate. Suppose if you have a scenario like this, you see the complexity will increase. This we will be calling it as multilinearly separable. multilinear. So that means your definitely your problems cannot be like AND gate or OR gate. Your problems will be very complex. Then only if you are using AI, they will appreciate. So here multilinear in the sense, yeah, this is for exclusive OR gate. For exclusive OR gate, with single neuron you cannot get the output. You are able to follow? Just to demonstrate why we are going beyond one neuron. With single neuron, we cannot get. So exclusive OR gate, which is multilinearly separable. So here, when it is 0 and 0, it will give 0. When it is 1 and 1, it will give 0. So either 1 or 0 means it has to give 1 and 1. So simply you can process it, you will find it, always you will get this output. So for example, you are getting here 0, so that means here it will be 0. So these two inputs are no use. Here it is 1, so here it is 1. So the threshold will be exceeding 1 means you will get output of 1. Then here also 1 is coming 1.5, here it is coming 1. So here it is 1, so here it is 1.5. So here the output will be 0 because here already it is 0, this term will be 0, here it is 1. So here output will be 0, here it is 1. So it is greater than 0.5, you will get 1. It's a very simple processing. But why I am saying the difference, initially I am able to establish OR gate with only one neuron. But while coming for an exclusive OR gate, I cannot perform only with a single neuron. So that means if you are having a complex of problems, you have to decide how many neurons. Normally they used to call this as hidden layer, and this is input layer, and this is output layer. The number of neurons in the input layer, you have to decide based on your number of inputs. Like the current, voltage, temperature means 3 neurons you have to use. Sometimes they will be calling it as nodes. That is not a material issue. Output, how many outputs you want? For example, you want to say what is SOH, what is state of charge, and what is the status of cell balancing. That means what? You have to use 3 neurons in the output layer. Then the number of hidden layer neurons and number of layers you have to vary and you have to analyze which is most effective. Then you have to use that. And this kind of non-linear classification will be there. So whatever may be the linear and the multilinear, those are all much easier one. So normally what we will do when the system is complex, there only we will use the artificial neural network. It is very simple. For 2 input AND gate, OR gate, or exclusive OR gate, AND may not be required. We ourselves, by looking into the data, will give the output. But when it is a complex system like this one, so here the classification is very difficult. Inside that or outside that function is very complex. So only in such situation you have to go for such kind of ANN. So while coming to the training, it is one of the basic method of supervised learning. Many kind of learning methods are there. Many kind of learning methods in the sense, for example, recently one guy was developing movable launch pads. Movable launch pad. Guy was developing that, who might have studied in Hindustan Aeronautics. He was not able to clear his degree. Somehow with arrears and other things he is clearing it. And his native is Tiruvannamalai. His father is an auto driver. He is unable to fetch a job. Then somehow he got some idea. I do not know what is the exact modality. He was able to create a launch pad, movable launch pad. Recently he was able to get success with the movable launch pads also. Like Elon Musk, he is doing a lot. Now he was doing it. And he got a funding of about 800 crores. Recently he has demonstrated here somewhere in the seashore. So such was the case. The learning will be different for different person. So here also in the neural network, even that Sabareesan, why he came to know that Sabareesan want to join with the list of Elon Musk, because finally once he is success, where he is working with that guy. So in the future, because where already What about a Geo model? Some 5 years back, Geo arrived and they told that we are giving free network. Before that, I have only button mobile phone. So free network everywhere in all the houses, 2-3 SIMs are available for free. And everyone thought that once if he is charging, we will throw it back. So after that, no one threw it the mobile phone. You see how he has trained. This is called training our neurons. So he trained our brain. Now we may not able to come out of it. So the same thing, everywhere it happens. என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னாக்கா அந்த டெமோ வராங்க அப்படின்னாவே வாட் இஸ் த மெத்தடாலஜி தே வில் என்ஷூர் தட் யூ ஆர் யூஸிங் இட் ஸோ யூஸ் பண்ண உடனே யூ மே நாட் ஏபிள் டு ஃபைண்ட் அவுட் எனி ஃபால்ட் யூ வில் டெஃபினெட்லி வி வில் திங்க் இட் இஸ் பெட்டர் தென் வி வில் பர்ச்சேஸ் தட் ஐட்டம் த சேம் மாடல் he has used and he was delivering a network for free, but what is the loss initially he made around 3 lakhs crore for providing the free service. Then what happens, our neurons are trained. So after he start 1 year, whether now the people are trained for using mobile phone, no, another 6 months he got extension. So until the complete training, okay, here onwards they cannot sleep without mobile phones. He assured that. Then he has increased the charge. So, everything which is, see that how they will do. Now the data is money. So every person how much duration they are using the mobile phone, they will analyze. So slowly, gradually the time utilization time will increase. So they will find out that beyond this threshold, human cannot live without mobile. So they will do that. Now even why Geo network also they have worried. I thought that even Geo network may be the last mile now. So here onwards he will increase the tariff and he can gain anything. But now suddenly Starlink came. So what they are saying, why this mobile launchpad is gaining importance? In future there may be a possibility. Every organization, every department, they may have their own satellite for communication. That may be the near future they are saying. So that means Starlink is getting too much importance. So that means that the other competitors may come. Here also they may have such kind of things. So definitely what they are saying in near future, where the communication will be in entirely different space. Even you may not know what is Geo or what is ATAL after a few years. So such fast technological changes are there. So what kind of training here? So for example, so you have to take any one battery. I hope Sar was telling that to check whether battery life, some 2 to 3 years, you have to monitor the condition of the battery. So during that time, what you have to do? You have to collect the data. So if this is the voltage, this is the current, and this is the temperature, this will be the state of health. This will be the battery condition. So these information you have to store it. Then you have to train it. These all those things nowadays MATLAB is doing automatically. Recently I have seen it. No need to collect the data by ourselves. Suppose if you are developing a battery model and if you are developing a neural network, if you are giving the range of condition, that itself it creates the data and it stores and it trains the end. You are able to understand what I am saying? So in the olden days, even for ANN, to develop the data, we used to spend some 6 months or 3 months time. But nowadays, once if you have a mathematical model of any battery, and if you are feeding it to the MATLAB, and if you are saying that this is the thing I want to develop a ANN, it varies the condition, it takes the data, and it trains that ANN also. So what my advice is, once if you know the basics, directly try to use the MATLAB. And once if you are able to model the battery for your own specific application, because already the battery models are available, like RC model and other even basic Thevenin model, many models are available. But depending on your application, you want to do thermal analysis also. So for that specific type, you have to develop the battery model first. Then with that battery model, you have to generate the data. Because generating data from real time is very difficult. Instead of that, you develop the mathematical model of your own interest and you create the data for all those things. Then from the real time battery, what you have to do? You have to take the voltage, current and temperature. You have to feed it. Then it will give what is the state of health, whether is there any failure of cells inside the module, any kind of information you can get it. So what kind of training you are doing here? So initially it is not trained, it is like us. feed all the input, get some output, and here you have to show this is called a target. For example, with this current voltage and temperature, one set of input, you have to find out the state of health, and you have to compare that state of health with the target. Okay, target is 80%, here it is coming 90%, so there is an error. So with this error, you have to adjust the weightage values. The only thing what you have to do, you have to adjust the weightage values. Even no need to study about those algorithms because those algorithms are inbuilt nowadays. If you want to do better research with the algorithm also, you can read those algorithms because those algorithms are also mathematically very simple. It is not a complex one. So with this, you have to adjust this weightage until what? Until while feeding this information, the output state of health, what it is producing, and what is the actual state of health target value, both are matching. So once if it is matching now, your neural network is trained. Not one set, at least you have to take some 1,000 sets or 10,000 sets. With that only you have to train it. So you are able to visualize. See, you may not be able to understand completely, but once if you have visualization, once if you are selecting this field, then you can go into it. இல்லை சொல்லுங்க சார் இது ஒன்றும் புரியல அது இல்லை எதாவது I can give some more additional input. So the main thing is you have to study the sum of the theory part, then mainly you have to depend on the mathematical model as well as the MATLAB. Once if you are familiar in MATLAB, using the MATLAB, these kind of simulations are nowadays quite easy. And here this application is not for this. You do research in any area, we can use this. That is the one specialty of this area. Any area you can use this. Whether you are in power electronics, you are in battery management, autonomous electric vehicle, or in power system, or any other embedded system. For every application you can use it. For example, during a corona period, what they used to say, non-contact. Suppose if some person is having cough, so they will capture that and they will analyze the frequency band, and they will produce the output whether there is a corona or not. They are able to follow. For all applications, they are using these kind of AI techniques. But how they did it? They will collect with some hundreds of patients, those who are having corona, and they will train that ENN. So whoever is coming with some cough, they will capture it, and they will test with the AI. It will give yes or no. For any kind of such kind of biomedical devices, whether based on the temperature or any other input, you can come to such a conclusion. Even Google is working hardly with capturing our retina, and they want to process it. Particularly, they are getting information from Narayana Netralaya. So once if they are getting the complete information, they are able to detect most of the diseases, like including non-communicable disease like cancer and other things. They are able to follow. Already they are working for last 10 years. It's not new. Definitely near future, where Google may establish, no need to go to any of the doctors. Every day you can check your, capture your eye with your Google, then you can get whether you have any disease or not. That is possible. So my input today may be very wide and open, because if you are focusing on electric vehicle, with the battery management alone, you may not able to do much wonder, because already you see how sophisticated mobile battery management systems are already existing. But for your application, definitely, if some specific terrain or anywhere you are using your battery management with some typical application, you can use AI. And the developing AI modules are not that much complicated. Within a day, you can do that. But how efficiently you are using it with your literature survey and other activities, you have to come to that. So if you have any specific doubt, you can ask me, so that I will be happy you understood some of the basics. So even you apply these basics for all your entire life. இதுக்கு மேல யாருமே எனக்கு இது வராது அப்படின்னு சொல்லாதீங்க. அதே மாதிரி நம்ம குழந்தைங்களுக்கும் அந்த பையன் இப்படி பண்ணுவான், இந்த பொண்ணு இப்படி பண்ணுவாங்க அப்படின்ட்டு we don't conclude it, because any neuron can be trained effectively. But IQ level will be different. If I am reading 10 times, somebody else may be able to do that within 5 times. But that doesn't mean that I cannot do it at all. For me, maths also the same, science also the same, because I have the same storage capacity, but the IQ level is different. The number of training for me may be more. மேக்ஸ் போது கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டமா இருக்கா, என்ன பண்றோம் நார்மலா இப்படி ஸ்டஃப்னாவே லைட்டா ஐயோ இது கஷ்டம், இதை நீ பண்ணாத அப்படின்னு சொல்ல ஆரம்பிக்கும். ஸோ ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக வில் மூவ் அவே ஃப்ரம் தட். வில் நாட் கெட் எனஃப் ட்ரைனிங் வித் தட். ஈவன் அந்த மாதிரி இன்புட் வரும்போதே யூ மைட் ஹவ் டெவலப் த சிஸ்டம், இட் வில் ட்ரிபிள் இட். அதனால சின்னதுல இருந்து இப்ப ஈவன் NBA போனீங்கன்னா என்ன சொல்றாங்க, NBA என்ன சொல்றாங்க, NBA என்ன கான்செப்ட் தெரியும் இல்லையா, நேஷனல் போர்ட் ஆஃப் அக்ரிகேஷன். ஹவ் யூ ஆர் கெட்டிங் அக்ரிகேஷன்? அவுட்கம் பேஸ்ட். வாட் இஸ் அவுட்கம் பேஸ்ட் சொல்லுங்க பார்க்கலாம். வாட் இஸ் அவுட்கம் பேஸ்ட் லேர்னிங்?
Ensuring the minimum quality of learning.
அவுட்கம் பேஸ்ட்னாவே ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் உள்ள வருதுன்னா உங்களுக்கு யூ வில் பி டிஃபைனிங் த ப்ராடக்ட். இவன் 4 வருஷம் முடிச்சு போகும்போது இவன் இப்படிதான் இருப்பான். நம்ம எப்படி நம்ம குழந்தைங்களை சொல்றோம் இல்லையா, என் பையன் டாக்டர் ஆவான், இன்ஜினியர் ஆவான்ட்டு. நீங்க டாக்டர் ஆகிறான்னு சொல்லிட்டு அவனை கொண்டு போய் JEE படிக்க வைப்பீங்களா, அல்லது இன்ஜினியர் ஆகிறான்னு சொல்லிட்டு அவனை போய் நீட் போடுவீங்களா? போட மாட்டீங்க. அதே மாதிரி தான் இப்போ இன்ஜினியரிங் காலேஜுக்கு வந்துட்டா இவனை இந்த மாதிரி நான் ட்ரெயின் பண்ணணும், இவன் இந்த மாதிரி எனக்கு ஃபைனல் ப்ராடக்ட் வேணும்னா அவனுக்கு என்னென்ன இன்புட் கொடுக்கணும் அப்படின்னு டிசைட் பண்றதுதான் அவுட்கம் பேஸ்ட் எஜுகேஷன். அவுட்கம் முதல்ல எப்படின்னாக்கா எல்லா ஃபண்டமெண்டல் சப்ஜெக்டையும் டீச் பண்ணிடுவோம், அவன் ஒரு இன்ஜினியரா போவோம். இப்போ அப்படி கிடையாது. அவுட்கம்னாக்கா ப்ராடக்ட் இஸ் டிஃபைன். ப்ராடக்ட் டிஃபைன்னா எனக்கு இந்த ப்ராடக்ட் தான் வேணும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னதுக்கு அப்புறம் ஓகே அப்ப நீ எம்ப்ளாய்ட் சிஸ்டம் படிக்கணும், இதை படிக்கணும், இதை படிக்கணும், நம்ம கரிக்குலம் டெவலப் பண்றோம். டிஃபரன்ஸ் புரியுது இல்லைங்களா? ஸோ இட் இஸ் லைக் ட்ரைனிங் த ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ். ஆக்சுவலா அவுட்கம் பேஸ்டு மாடல் இஸ் நாட் குட். நாட் குட் தான் இல்லையா? இப்போ நம்மளே சொல்றோம் இதே லோயர் லெவலில் நம்ம பசங்களை ஃபோர்ஸ் பண்ணக்கூடாதுங்கிறோம். பட் இங்க என்ன பண்றோம், அவுட்கம்ல என்ன பண்றோம், ப்ராடக்ட்டை டிஃபைன் பண்ணிடுறோம். இந்த இன்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்ல படிச்சா இந்த ப்ராடக்ட் தான் வெளியே வரும் அப்படின்ட்டு டிஃபைன் பண்ணிட்டு அந்த ப்ராடக்ட் வரணும்னா என்னென்ன சப்ஜெக்ட் வைக்கணும், என்னென்ன சிலபஸ் வைக்கணும் அப்படின்ட்டு டிஃபைன் பண்ணிடுறாங்க. அதுல மெயின் திங் நான் இன்னொரு அடிஷனல் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் இந்த அவுட்கம் ஒவ்வொரு கோர்ஸ்க்கு என்ன இருக்கணும்ட்டு டிஃபைன் பண்ணிடுறாங்க. ஸோ அவுட்கம் பேஸ்ட் எஜுகேஷன் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் நம்ம ரொம்ப ஓல்டா ஃபாலோ பண்றதுதான் என் பையன் இன்ஜினியர் ஆவான், என் பையன் டாக்டர் ஆவான்னு சொல்றதுதான் அவுட்கம் பேஸ்ட் எஜுகேஷன். Okay, I hope some informations may be valuable to you. The only thing, try to use the MATLAB and the learn artificial intelligence application. You can use it for any of your related fields. That doesn't mean that it is only meant for battery management system.
Sir, in the mobile, even it is after 3 years, it is not able to charge 100%. Its charging capacity is some 70%. Why it shows 100%?
That's right. That is not state of health. It is state of charge. See, initially, vessel is this much big. So you are putting charge on that. So it will show 100%. So what happened? The vessel size shrinks. So now also, if you are filling this, it will show 100%. You are able to follow. If you are filling this, it will show 100%. But what is the available input, stored input here? Less. But this vessel size is state of health. So now the vessel size is only 25%.
So cells which has health got filled.
Yeah.
So 100% charge.
Yeah. Initially, if it is storing some 1000 coulombs, now it is storing only 500 coulombs. Just for example. The state of charge means available capacity is filled means it will show 100%. That is state of charge.
It is like giving medicine to the symptoms, not to the disease.
Yeah. The main thing here it is a chemical reaction, no? Because you may not be able to maintain the state of the material until the end. Like after 2 years, it will degrade. That's it.
Same way in the vehicle also, BMS shows same manner.
Yeah. See, state of charge always it will show 100, but you have to look into the state of health. Suppose while purchasing a vehicle, if they are saying that 80 kilometers on full charge, after 3 years, the capacity will shrink to 50%. So that means even though 100% charge is there, but the capacity is reduced, state of health is reduced. So it will go only from 80 now, it will go only 40 kilometers. That's it. But in our mobile phone, what it is displaying is only state of charge. So that's why it will show always 100. But state of health, it is not displaying it. Because if it is displayed, you will ask, no, it is about actually state of charge 100% always it is showing. But state of health now after 2 years, even after 6 months, if it is showing 80%, you may ask for replacement. No, it is not showing 100%. So state of health sometimes it may deteriorate very quickly. So even within that 6 months, or if it is going less than 75%, you may ask for replacement. So nowhere they will display the state of health. Even here also in the card also what they will do, only when replacement is required they will show state of health. Every day on the basis you cannot see the state of health.
Giving a data as a trade.
Yeah, it is like this. For example, I want to say, whenever I am saying 1, you have to say 5. If I am saying 2, you have to say 6. If I am saying 3, what you will say now? You will say 7. You do not know what is the logic. So these kind of training only you have to give. You sense voltage, current, temperature, feed it to the ANN, and you have the battery. You measure what is the state of health, what is the state of charge. You give the test target to the ANN, so it will learn.
It's like it says lookup table.
Yeah, not no here lookup table will not come. See, you already showed one processing, no? Even for AND gate or OR gate. So it will flow, and on the flow, somehow you have to adjust the connection strength such that you will get the desired output. Lookup table means fuzzy logic only.
Lookup table you are giving limited data.
Yeah.
Data are more.
Yeah.
It will be trade.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying if it is very simple, we will not go for ANN. When the number of data or complexity in establishing the relation between, because there what we have seen is linearly separable. You may be able to say it is lookup table, but non-linearly separable, now that function you have to arrive at. Linearly separable, you can say it is like a lookup table. Even that much processing may not be required, but this is better than the lookup table.
The writing activation functions will be easy for this system.
No, activation function you have to decide. See, I want this kind of output. So whether the basic already available things like part limiter, sigmoid function, Gaussian function, all those things are there. But even in specific, because mathematics, no, even in the MATLAB, if you are giving the type of curve, it will give the mathematical equations by calculating. That also you can use. You have to first plot in the graph sheet. So within this, I want yes. Outside that means I want no. You can draw any kind of nonlinear function. Then you have to get the, by curve fitting, you have to get the mathematical function. Then you have to use it here in the box. Because if you are doing some new function, then only you can claim something I want this kind of output. So I have developed this function. Something we can claim it.
Thank you, sir.